Hey everybody, I hope everyone is doing well tonight. It is the either late night or early morning of May 29th, and I just thought I would hop on and share some thoughts that I've been having the past couple of days, and especially tonight, about the uprising in Minneapolis, which was sparked by the murder of George Floyd, black man in Minneapolis by the Minneapolis police, who is just the latest in an extremely long line of black people murdered by the white supremacist American police system. I didn't watch the video of George Floyd being killed. I saw like some still images from it, and that was enough for me to know that I didn't need to watch this one. I don't need to watch any of them anymore. And honestly, my thoughts at this point are, if you haven't already made up your mind to be on the side of the oppressed, the over-policed, of black Americans, indigenous Americans, other colonized Americans who disproportionately face the wrath of our over-militarized police system. If you're not already on their side, if you're not already saying Black Lives Matter, I don't know what another video of somebody being senselessly murdered is going to do at this point for you. I tend to think that you are already lost, but for better or for worse, there's a video, and it has sparked massive protests and uprisings, and what the media is definitely calling riots, all across the Twin Cities area, where I have some friends who live there, and there's been independent news media live streaming it, and some of the mainstream news is also picking up on it. This is huge. And while I am pretty mortified at the death of this man who was murdered, George Floyd, I gotta say that the reaction of the masses of Minneapolis has been incredibly inspiring and uplifting. Sorry if you can hear my cat meowing. He's bothering me for attention right now. A few hours ago, the masses of Minneapolis took by force the 3rd Precinct Police Station in Minneapolis, and they set it on fire. The police abandoned it after almost 2 full days of fighting, of the police firing tear gas and shooting rubber bullets and employing other non-lethal methods of crowd dispersal. They finally were beaten down and abandoned the police station, which has now been taken back by the people, and hopefully will be nothing but rubble by the morning time. There has also been a lot of expropriation of materials from like a nearby Target that's been on the news a lot, and a lot of other restaurants and businesses have been either partially or completely destroyed, including a housing development. That's good. That's another positive thing about this, because these housing developments, whether or not they build themselves as affordable or not, are used by as tools of gentrification in these neighborhoods. So destroying them is a good thing. But really, what I want to talk about is the police station, because that to me is the biggest signal of the importance of what is happening right now in Minneapolis. What we have right now is actual, like a proof, is an example of the masses coming together and ousting the police force from their neighborhood. This, I really can't understate. How important this is. This is my cat, Carl. He wants to be in the video. I cannot understate how important this is for the future of the revolutionary movement in America and in the entire world, because now we have actual proof that when we come together, we can force the cops out of our neighborhoods. We can take control of our own communities. We can beat them with nothing but dogged determination and the willingness to work together. I mean, can you imagine if these numbers of people out on the streets of Minneapolis and this passion that all these people have right now and this willingness to put their lives on the line, could you imagine if this was organized by a revolutionary party with an actual program of instituting dual power and institutions that are capable of coordinating some type of response? I mean, it would be over by that point. Minneapolis would be completely overtaken by the people. So if the masses are able to do just this spontaneously, then think what we could do when we are actually organized. So another thing that comes along with any situation like this, of course, there's going to be the white liberal hair-pulling about riots and the property being destroyed, and they're destroying their own neighborhood, etc., etc. And I mean, I don't have a lot to say to these people because I don't find them to be worth engaging too much, but I will just say that fuck you. A man died, and no amount of property, no business, no job, no livelihood on earth, no amount of any of that shit is worth that man's life, George Floyd's life. He had a 6-year-old daughter who's now going to grow up without her father. I don't care about Target or Arby's or some gentrifier, colonizer, housing development, or a bullshit police station. Can burn it all down for all I care. And for all that the black masses of Minneapolis care. Something that I heard being expressed a lot, I was watching the Unicorn Riot live stream. I think that's what they're called. I wasn't familiar with them before today. They did a live stream of the of what was happening, and I watched some of it. And they talked to a lot of the demonstrators that are out on the streets of Minneapolis, and something that I heard expressed a lot by many different black people who are there is they're killing us anyways, so we're going to start fighting back now. And I think that is a very profound message that the white supremacist powers of America had better listen to, because they're absolutely right. I mean, nothing has been done in the past decade since the epidemic of police violence, especially against unarmed and innocent black people, against everybody. I mean, any poor person is always at risk of police abuse, but of course we know that black and indigenous and colonized people get it far worse than white people. And nothing has been done about this. For years since Trayvon Martin, who I know wasn't killed by a police officer, but the police officers certainly did nothing to help him or to bring his killer to justice. But since the Black Lives Matter movement began, nothing at the state or federal levels has been done to really address this systemic injustice. And it's getting to the point that why shouldn't people start waking up and asking the question, if I'm at risk of being killed, if you're going to kill me no matter what, then I might as well die fighting you. And that's exactly what's going to start happening. I think that what we're witnessing tonight in Minneapolis is the turning point. I'm not saying that it's going to pop off in every city tomorrow. I want to be clear about that, because revolutions take a long time. It's 12 years between 1905 and 1917. And of course, the revolutionary situation had been brewing in Russia even before then. But I think that this is a turning point. Now the people have demonstrated what we can do when we're united in revolutionary action. We've demonstrated that the police really are paper tigers, and that if we band together and really try to kick them out of our communities, they will turn their tails and run and call for the National Guard, which is what's happening in Minneapolis right now. And we are finally at a point where enough people are starting to say enough is enough. So I predict that right now we've reached a point of no return, and Minneapolis and what's happening there right now is really going to be the turning point. I think when we're looking back on it 20, 30 years from now, I think we're going to say this is the moment when the revolution really begun. So in light of that, I think it's really time now, if you're watching this, if you're in America or even if you're in Europe, whatever, wherever you are in the world, it's time to join a revolutionary organization that is either directly led by colonized people or is in some way under the umbrella of colonized-led revolutionaries and organizations, because Europeans and their descendants are not the vanguard of the worldwide socialist revolution as much as we've pretended to be for the past 100 and odd years. Minneapolis is proving that it is the colonized revolutionaries that are going to be leading this charge, and it's our job to have their backs. So finally, I just want to bring in the Christian kind of angle to it, because I know that there's a lot of, obviously the reactionary Christians are going to fall where they always do and condemn the riots and, all that shit that they always do. But they are so far beyond help that I don't even need to address them. But to the liberal, even progressive, maybe even leftish Christians that are out there who want to see violence on both sides and who want to love your enemy and want to take some of those sayings of Jesus and some of those nice ideas in the Bible about peace and turning the other cheek and want to misapply those to this situation. I would say to you that Jesus was pretty okay with property destruction in the service of a revolutionary ideal. When he cleansed the temple, it wasn't removing the money changers so that the temple would be pure. He didn't call it the cleansing of the temple. Jesus was destroying the temple. You can see references to how this works in my book, The Carpenter's Son. I talk about it. John Dominic Crossan also talks about it in Jesus, a Revolutionary Biography. That story that we refer to as the cleansing of the temple is better understood as the symbolic destruction of the temple. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, "I will destroy this house, and no one will be able to rebuild it." So I'm comfortable as a Christian with the idea of burning every last fucking building in this country down until we get the justice that we deserve. Every Target, every police precinct, every restaurant, every liquor store, I don't give a... Let it all burn. A 6-year-old girl, my daughter is about to be 6, and now a 6-year-old girl is going to grow up without her father because of this shit? No. I don't give a fuck. Burn it all down.